academic freedom will be threatened by the proposed anti-terrorism law. No doubt
This
about it.
speaker is a graduate of the Institute of Accounts, Business and
My
Finance.
office together with different volunteers with
many
tribe.
people from different parts of the world, and some of them have confirmed their attendance, and they are coming from the Middle East, Asia, Europe, and also in Australia. So, welcome.
The university is surrounded by lush greenery, which makes the environment very pleasant.
Participating in various student organizations has given me a wide variety of leadership skills.
The teaching methods, along with the learning culture, has made me well equipped to talk the board exam.
We can experience a variety of extracurricular activities throughout the semester.
English is used as the medium of instruction in most of our classes to help prepare students for work, both here and abroad.
As faculty of FEU, we engage in ongoing research, encourage scholarly discussions, and contribute in academic publications.
I was able to get a job right after graduation thanks to FEU's collaborations and industry partners.
The University Student Exchange Program gave me the opportunity to study in another country, to broaden my horizon, and to experience new cultures.
Internet connectivity is available in every part of the university, from the classrooms to the park, canteen, and even the hallway.
The university is well equipped with specialized learning spaces, such as nursing rooms, a mock hotel, and even a TV studio. This gives you a close to real-life experience.
I really believe that FEU can bring out the best in all of us.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. Welcome to the FEU Alumni Speakers Bureau webinar series. This is Eric John Bisda from the Alumni Relations Office, and we are in the 6th installment of our webinar series. And for today, just like our past webinar sessions, today's topic of discussion will be incredibly informative, relevant, helpful, and inspiring. Now, as we all know, our continuous fight against the COVID-19 pandemic brought an unprecedented challenges and difficulties, not only in our country's history, but around the globe. Many people have lost their jobs or source of income. Tens of thousands got infected, which resulted to almost 2,000 deaths as of this posting. The future is uncertain to many of us. But as dark as it may seem, light always comes out from the gaps, and that light is youth volunteerism. In today's Alumni Speakers Bureau webinar series, our young alumni will be sharing their journey on how they were able to help our kababayans in different parts of the country. Now, without further ado, I will be giving the floor to our moderator today. He is the director of the FEU Alumni Relations Office, of course, a brave, loud, and proud alumni, and one of the founding members of the Tamaraw Volunteers, or TAMVOL, a university-wide volunteer organization in Far Eastern University, which is the very first student-based volunteer organization in the campus, with the aim to inculcate among the youth the importance of volunteerism and community service in helping the nation. So again, ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Director Selmer L. Santos.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Eric. Good afternoon to all our attendees and to those who are watching us via Facebook Live and YouTube channel of FEU Alumni Relations Office. We are very fortunate to have a very dynamic, compassionate, and patriotic set of panelists who will share to us their experiences, vision, and their journey as a youth volunteer leader. To start, our first panelist took up his Bachelor of Arts in Mass Communication at Far Eastern University, where he finished with high distinction in 2013. He is the founder of Halad Paglaum Project, or Upper Hope, and was a former officer of the FEU Mass Communication Society. Currently, he works as a teaching assistant at FEU. Prior to his academic work experience, our panelist was a news desk researcher at ABS-CBN News. He also spent quite some time in marketing industry as marketing supervisor of Informatics Holding Philippines, Inc., and school promotions head of the Metropolitan Medical Center College of Arts, Science, and Technology. Please welcome our first panelist, Mr. RJ Sangkap. Good afternoon, RJ.
Hello, Sir Selmer, and good afternoon to
Hi.
everyone. Everyone is doing well. Thank you for having me.
Our second panelist is a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Psychology at Far Eastern University, where she graduated magna cum laude and awarded as 10 Outstanding Senior Student. Afterwards, she took up professional education at Pamantasan Lungsod ng Maynila and is now finishing her master's degree in clinical psychology at FEU. She is a licensed psychometrician and a licensed professional teacher. She worked as a full-time instructor at the Department of Psychology of FEU. She also works as a program coordinator for an international NGO called Project Pearls, where she teaches underprivileged children in Tondo, Manila, under its after-school program. Our second panelist, Ms. Jeddah M. Punsalan. Good afternoon, Jeddah.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Sir Selmer.
Right. Okay, for our third panelist, she is a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, major in Business Management, batch 2019. She's the youngest of the group. She's the founder of Sinag Pilipina movement, who provided sanitary kits to frontliners of different hospitals in Metro Manila. She is an alumna of Young Women's Christian Association, FEU chapter, and currently working as associate in PricewaterhouseCoopers, SDC Manila. Our third panelist, Ms. Micaela Biray. Good afternoon, Mika.
Hi, Sir Selmer. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us po.
And last but certainly not the least, our panelist is also a graduate of Bachelor of Arts in Mass Communication, batch 2018. He is the founder of Pantawid COVID Project, which to this date was able to generate over 2 million worth of PPEs and food packs distributed to various hospitals and poor communities in Metro Manila and nearby provinces. He is one of the fellows of the Young Southeast Asian Leaders Initiative, as well as the Asian Institute of Management Future Bridging Leaders Program. He is currently working at Ayala Land Incorporated. Our fourth panelist, Mr. Patrick Manuel. Hi, Patrick.
Hi, sir. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having us this afternoon. And we look forward to a very fruitful discussion with the panelists. Thank you.
Let me start with RJ. RJ, can you tell us about the project and how did the project started? What was the inspirations?
Right, sir. The project is called Halad Paglaom Project. It's actually a Cebuano term. Halad Paglaom is a Cebuano term which means offer hope or magbigay ng pag-asa. So the very first inspiration actually of this project was when during the first few weeks of the lockdown, I was still enrolled in my second semester in grad school at UP Open University. I'm taking up development communication, and I had this subject called social marketing and mobilization. And all of the readings actually inspired me to think of mobilizing a community or mobilizing an initiative to actually help with the current situation. So I tapped some of my friends in FEU who are also teaching assistants to put up this initiative. And so we were able to put up the said initiative in April, and we decided to actually select farmers and fisher folks as our primary beneficiaries. The main reason why we actually chose them instead of choosing those who are also affected by the massive lockdown in Metro Manila It is because bulk of the help or the initiatives that are being done by many of individuals, private organizations, private individuals are actually focused on the metro. That's what we actually first that's what we actually first thought. Kaya sabi namin, why don't we actually veer away from where the bulk of these initiatives are coming from. So we decided to choose the farmers and the fisher folks. So we also believe our frontliners, because day in and day out, they are working hard to provide food on our table despite the looming threats of the pandemic. So yun, the Halat Paglaom was actually initiated by our group.
Okay, thank you. Mika of Sinag Pilipina. So can you tell us about the organization and how does it started and what was the inspiration?
Good afternoon, sir. As for us po, it's actually more of a side na we wanted to continue since we are an alumni of Young Women's Christian Association, FEU chapter, and we don't want to limit the beneficiaries inside the school. We don't want to limit ourselves in events or outreach program required by our student development. So, and as we graduate, we feel the need to continue our vision and mission of our former organization, and that was actually we actually planned this way before the pandemic. Like we wanted to continue this program until we graduate. And since po yung mga kasama ko is also part of the organization, it wasn't actually difficult to deal with kasi given na our relationship started in college and up until now, we continue the vision we have. So what was actually derived from our initiative was, first is our advocacy for women. It started during this post we encountered na this women frontliners weren't able to purchase sanitary goods to protect themselves as well from pandemic. So from then on, we tap our alumni as well to help us build this organization, sir.
Why Sinag Pilipina, by the way?
Sinag comes from, of course, English array, which means brings hope and happiness during the hopeless time. So yeah, speaks for itself.
Okay, I'll reserve Patrick for the last. Jeddah. Yeah, among the three, you're the most, I think, seasoned volunteer. So you have been volunteering, doing a lot of volunteer activities, since you were still in FEU, studying in FEU as part of Tambol,
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us about the different projects that you've been to and the different organizations that you work with? And can you tell us what was the difference or the changes that you've seen since then?
So now I'm very active with Project Pearls. So with Project Pearls, we conduct daily soup kitchen every day. So since yung mga sa community, especially in Helping Land Tondo, famous yung Helping Land Tondo with pagpag. So yung mga tira-tira sa Jollibee, McDo, ganyan, pinapagpag. Tapos yun yung kinakain nila ulit. So since siguro 3 years ago, may batang namatay because of yun nga, pagkain ng pagpag. So, nag-launch yung Project Pearls ng Daily Soup Kitchen. So, every day, we conduct feeding program sa mga bata. Sana na para bago sila makapasok ng school is meron silang nutritious food, and sa mga senior citizens. So, nakita kong changes mula nung pandemic, yung nag-lockdown. Nagkaroon ng initiative lalo yung mga parents sa community since hindi kami makakapuntang mga volunteers. Yung mga parents mismo yung nag-initiate na sila na yung magluluto, sila yung magpapa-feeding sa mga bata, ganyan. Although provided namin yung funds, yung lulutuin nila, pero sila mismo yung nagtutulong-tulong na para magkaroon ng feeding program sa community. So yun yung nakita kong changes, na nagkaroon ng empowerment yung mga nanay mismo, na sila yung gumawa ng initiative para sa mga ka-community nila. Yun. Tapos, meron din kaming project, which is yung Project Empathy, since yung gumagawa din yung mga na-relocate sa Bulacan ng mga basahan, ng mga potholders, tsaka ng may mga ganun. So, since hindi na rin mabibenta outside, so nag-launch kami na pwedeng ibenta yun online. So, ako yung in charge na dinadala dito sa bahay yung mga potholders, yung mga basahan, ganyan. Tapos ako yung nagdi-distribute. So, deliver na lang siya through mga courier services. Ayan. So, yung mga ganun. Tapos, we launched din program to raise funds for scholars namin since, di ba, online na ngayon. And mostly sa kanila is wala namang cellphone, walang internet, or walang laptop, or walang capabilities para magkaroon ng online class. So, we raise funds din para makabili ng laptop sa mga scholars. Kahit sa community lang, example sa clinic, ganyan, magkaroon ng hiraman ng mga estudyante para magkaroon sila ng gamit sa school.
Access.
Yan. And, yun, so far yun. And ngayon, nagkakaroon din kami since yung aking project is after-school program and hindi nga makakapunta yung mga mentors sa community. So ngayon, inaayos pa lang namin kung pwede magkaroon ng mentorship program online. So, if makakabili na ng laptop sa community, then pwedeng kumuha ng mga volunteers and magkaroon ng mentorship program sa mga volunteers kahit na online, sa scholars at saka sa volunteers. Yun po.
This is still under Project Pearls, no?
Yes po.
Okay. And Patrick. So Patrick has been our partner for quite some time, no? So we've done a lot of relief operations and PPE distributions across Metro Manila and nearby provinces, no? Yes,
Hi,
Patrick.
sir. Good afternoon. So, good afternoon, everyone. Hi, Mika, Jeda, and RJ. It's really nice to see you here. So, I prepared a short presentation lang to sum up our activities for the past 3 months. So, we are from Pantawid COVID Project, and the beauty of this initiative is that it wasn't thought of, say, a month before or pre-pandemic. Hindi siya pinag-isipan na buuin. It actually it unexpectedly grew into what it is right now. All right. So moving forward, and it started from a Facebook post. It's actually my personal Facebook post where I am trying to raise funds for the street vendors of Moraita. It wasn't thought of, say, we're going to build Panto with COVID project, and then we're going to have this kind of initiative wherein ito yung aim natin. It didn't work that way. Here is a short story lang on how the initiative started. So prior to the pandemic, we are working with the displaced street vendors of Moraita. So if you are if you usually eat sa Hepa Lane because you see it na matipid and mas mura, kilala mo yung mga nagkikita dyan, and especially yung mga sa tapat ng Moraita. So we are currently working with them to help them regularize, to help them legalize rather their operations sa tapat ng FEU. So that's pre-pandemic. So we go to the community, we lobby them to the LGU, we connected to different stakeholders. And what happened after nung pandemic is actually more challenging for them kasi displaced na sila, hindi pa sila pwedeng makapagtinda sa tapat ng FEU given na first, most of them are senior citizens. Second, suspended ng classes, wala silang customers dahil wala ang mga students. So, we tried to reach out to them. Nag-chat ako. Here's the photocopy of, here's the screenshot of the conversation. So, it's with the flower vendor sa FEU. I chatted her. Nay, kamusta po kayo? Ano pong tinitinda nyo ngayon at walang pasok ang mga estudyante? And what she replied strike me the most kasi it's very, I easily connected to her kasi I myself, palaki ako ng lola ko na nagtitinda din sa sari-sari store. And nag-reply siya na, okay naman, dito kami sa bahay, isang buwan walang tinda, walang estudyante. Yan lang ang buhay namin pag may pasok. And then sabi niya, kawawa naman yung iba naming vendor na ang inaasahan ng bangketa na magtitinda lang, walang hanap buhay, walang katao-tao sa Moraita. So I posted this post in my Facebook account, and then to my surprise, 24 hours after, we were able to raise more than 60,000 agad. So mostly are contributed by the alumni, mga student leaders, professors in FEU, and habang lumalaki siya ng lumalaki, we did our first relief operations in Moraita, and then I tapped most of my thesis mates, my team. Sabi ko, why not tuloy-tuloy na natin to habang may opportunity at may pagkakataong tumulong, kasi hindi naman tumitigil yung pasok ng donation. So why not, let's formalize it and lagyan natin ng name, let's create a Facebook page for this. So that we've come up with Pantawid COVID project. So ano siya, that's the beauty, I think, of the initiative. Bigla na lang siyang sumulpot out of the necessity and opportunities na na-encounter namin along the way. But of course, it's very clear sa organization what we wanted really to happen. So hindi namin sila pwedeng bigyan ng supply for the rest of the ECQ. So that's why binigyan namin ng end goal na, okay, sige, pantawid lang tayo. Meaning we will just supplement what the barangay and the LGU is giving to their constituents. So as of today, yan, kami yan, 246. It was started by 7 FEU alumni, mostly I communication. And then we have here a volunteer from CEU. So later on, I'll discuss paano siya nakasama sa team. But we have here Kevin. He's also from FEU, but he already transferred sa ibang university. And we have here Marge, former Communication Society officer, as well as Zian and Frances, mga student leaders then and Wish. So sobrang unexpected nung story and nung project na to. It wasn't thought of like, gawin natin to ganyan. So it happened. As they call it, para siyang serendipity talaga. And this is our total donation report as of July 23. It's both in cash and in kind. So thank you, Sir Selmer, and the rest of the FEU Alumni Relations Office, because malaki po yung contribution nyo dito sa donation and sa buong project. So just a glimpse lang din, this is our donation map. So since March po, yung next is UP Diliman Jeepney Drivers, done na po siya. Tandang Sora Jeepney Drivers, done na rin. And FEU Lerma Community, it was already endorsed to Dr. Cao, and the distribution was held last week. So we're looking at 22 batches of relief operations, and this will not be possible without our partner organizations, without our funders, and without our donors. And we are also one of the beneficiaries of Puhon. It's an online initiative of Ben and Ben. And thank you, Sir Selmer, for assisting us in the procurement, yung sa Save More po.
Yeah.
Ayan. And there are also a lot of donations in kind na pumasok from Unilever Philippines and from Rebisco. It was delivered by AFP Leadership Development Center, AFP LDC. And yeah, we're looking at 8,000 families reached already, and estimatedly roughly 50,000 individual reached. And just to show some photos of our previous relief operations. So this is from Moraita, Manila, yung amin talagang pinaka-pinagmulan ng lahat ng to. Sila talaga yung mga street vendors ng Moraita. And then we also conducted one in Sitio San Roque, Quezon City. These are from Kadiwa and Isang Liab Servant Leaders Union. So we were able to unite the two political parties in FEU. And we also catered to stranded University Bell students, tricycle drivers in Cainta, PUV drivers or pajak drivers in Baseco, Manila. So we have here Dr. Cao, the Director of Volunteers Service Office. So some photos lang din po. I am. So to sum it up po, we were able to, I'll stop presenting now. We were able to conduct 20 batches of relief operations from across Luzon. We catered to street vendors, PUV drivers, construction workers, and recently lang po yung jeepney drivers sa UP Diliman, and even the fire victims in Addition Hills in Mandaluyong. So it wasn't planned. Ayun po yung lagi kong sinasabi, hindi siya planado na gawin natin yan. Bigla na lang po siyang lumabas. And we're grateful for the opportunity kasi we know it's God's work. Ganun nung nangyari, not only in our initiative, but also to the rest of the initiative of the alumni. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Patrick. Now, I'll ask Micaela, what was the long-term vision for the organization? So post-pandemic, how do you think the organization can move forward? Since you started planning this out before the pandemic, right? What is the long-term vision?
Actually, sir, beforehand or before the pandemic, we really didn't think about the beneficiary or like, let's focus on frontliners. It's more of really women's advocacy in a broad manner. Like when we were in college, we were able to encounter women who experience abuse, sexual harassment, and those are really actually are fundamental. Or let's continue this mission for women. But actually, pandemic gives us the reason to why for this part of or for this season, maybe let's focus on who are the most affected, which are of course obviously as the frontliners or the frontliners, doctors and nurses. So during that time, we thought about let's start this vision since like what Kuya Patrick said, given the opportunity. So for the in the long run, actually we already submitted our transparency report through our Facebook account, and in the long run, maybe sir, we'll really focus more on the marginalized community. Actually, my teammate proposes let's focus on single mother or single parents in Tondo who are really unfortunate or unprivileged of the supposedly healthcare, since we know po na children are the most parang vulnerable, especially on those areas na talagang hindi siya sanitized. So, in the long run po, yun po yung vision namin. We wanted to focus on single parents, and then on the next, if given the opportunity or given the support from other people po, we wanted to continue this with elders po. Kumbaga may timeline. It's just that we're both we're working. I'm a student as well in FU law, so medyo ano po, crucial on the part of really the time management. And of course po yung lack of transportation, yung it's very obvious na mahirap to communicate during this time since everything is online. So yun, sir. As for Sino Filipina.
For RJ and Patrick, since both of your initiatives started as a response to the pandemic, no? But moving forward, how do you see the organization working?
Yes, sir. You are right that our initiative was also just like Pantawid COVID program, that actually it was actually just being born out of the necessity of the situation, right? We were able to provide food packs and hygiene kits to community of farmers and community of fisherfolk from northern Luzon and eastern Visayas. But at first, we were not actually planning to have to sustain it in the future. But eventually, we were able to talk about it. Some of my teams in Halad Paglaom, they have decided to, sayang naman kasi yung initiative and traction natin na meron na tayong community na natulungan. This time, siguro we will realign the Halad Paglaom instead of actually just focusing on the farmers and fisher folks. Probably we can be more broad in focusing on the marginalized sector, educating them with issues that probably they do not understand, that they need to know, especially in this age and time. Like say for example, media literacy, if ever, or whatever empowering things that we can do to the community. Kasi hindi nakikita natin ngayon na yes, itong lahat ng ito, yung ginagawa natin ngayon ay parang just to ano lang siya pangtapa lang sa mga pagkakataon na kailangan nila But we deem it necessary to give them or to provide them something that they could sustain in their community. For example, the community of farmers and fisher folks, probably we can tap in the future. Moving forward, probably we can tap other communities and LGUs and other organizations that would actually help them empower more in terms of their livelihood, how to improve, say for example, farming, and how to improve fishing, etc., etc. Kasi sa ngayon hindi pa naman talaga natin siya fully na i-imagine kung paano siya mangyayari, but there's a plan to continue the initiative, but we have to just realign it, especially if all of these things happening right now because of the pandemic will be over. Of course, we have to think of something to do na mag-realign naman base sa needs ng marginalized sector. So sila dapat lagi.
Patrick?
For Pantawid COVID project, sir, we already wrapped up our donation drive just this July, and we are just consolidating the data for our overall report, specifically finances, because we're talking about 2 million pesos, and we owe our donors, our funders, and our partner orgs transparency. And we are already in the
Sana
process
all.
of yes. Let's talk about that later. Moving forward, yeah, that's one. We owe them transparency. That's what we're working on right now, and especially the documentation. And moving forward, we had a meeting 2 weeks ago, and we discussed that just like what RJ said, pantapal lang naman lahat tong ginawa natin. But with everything that we have right now, we were able to build a guiding coalition wherein we are supported by different LGUs, different barangays, even from the private sector, the youth sector, and different organizations. Why not make the most out of it na? Since after naman ng pandemic, hindi naman mawawala yung mga problema na pwede nating pagtuunan ng pansin lalo. And we've also come ito ang conclusion that this pandemic really unmasked all the broken systems, the societal divides that matagal nang nandyan, matagal nang prevalent, but binigyan highlight ng pandemic. And right now, we are working on a change prototype wherein we want the PUV drivers and the street vendors to adapt to the new normal. So what we're trying to bridge here is the digital divide, and we are looking at an online platform wherein they can sustain their livelihood. So that's still on the table for discussion. But currently, it's also the same project that I am working on, that I'm working with AIM. So with all the resources that we have right now, what we are looking at is to still produce and spearhead post-pandemic projects that somehow are still necessary and relevant, na kahit papaano kaya pa rin naman ng powers namin. Since most of us are really young professionals and working, and we have 2 working students, so we're taking it one day at a time. But yes, we still have long-term plans for the organization po. Thank you.
Okay, so we're taking questions from our audience. No? First one, I think Jeddah can answer this. How can a student like me help the people who are suffering in this pandemic?
I think ngayon, no, sobrang ganda ng online advocacies natin. No? So, by sharing lang ng mga posts, example sa Project Pearls, by sharing yung mga advocacies, then pwede kang makatulong na. So, sharing, pwede rin po through fundraising. Lalo na ngayon, di ba, parang pwedeng mag-raise ng funds through Facebook, pwedeng mag-donation drive. So, pwede kang makatulong na doon kahit hindi ka lumalabas ng bahay. Third is, yun, kagaya ng mga ginagawa ng mga volunteers ko, pwede kang gumawa ng mga projects sa kung ano yung mga naiisip mong beneficiary. So, example sa Project First, no, kung naisip mo na, ay, gusto kong makatulong kahit na nasa bahay lang ako, pwede kang mag-sign up as an online mentor nga na ginagawa natin. So, pwede kang example sa mga grade 1 hanggang yung mga scholars natin from preschool hanggang college. Lalo na ngayon nagta-transition sila sa online class. Sobrang kailangan nila ng mentors na makakatulong sa kanila para sa transition na yun. So, pwede yung mga ganun.
Patrick, you mentioned about broken system, no, and in the difficulties. What was the challenges that you encountered while doing all these volunteer works?
I think we encountered, sir, a lot of challenges, especially nung nagsimula kami sa ECQ. First is actually the lack of the credibility of the organization. Kasi, well, we're still not yet an organization. Let's say, the lack of credibility of the initiative, because there's this thinking na kapag ka part ka ng youth sector, you can only do much, or wala kang capacity to do or to bring change to the community or to help those who are in need. So the challenge for us is to actually how are we going to position ourselves na somehow we are credible but we're still not given na nga 'di ba? Lumabas lang siya out of the need. So what we did is we borrowed legitimacy to different organizations. So I think the credibility nandun na siya. Um it was built habang lumilipas yung mga araw dahil sa mga organizations na nag-support sa amin. So it started noong we were supported by FEU when our publicity material was shared by the student development and of course FEU Alumni Relations Office and the FEU page itself. So parang, okay, sige, nakakabuelo na tayo. Meron na tayong somehow, nabibuild na natin ng foundation na hindi lang tayo basta-basta. Kasi I understand the people who are really worried about bogus donation drives kasi there are a lot of donation drives na nagmamask as donation drives but it's for their personal agenda only. And ayun, naging challenge yun for the organization given po na before I was consulting yun na, sir, paano kaya kami nito? Kasi hinahanapan na tayo ng permit, di ba? Hinahanapan na tayo ng permit ni DSWD, what do we do? And then, yun, we collaborated with different organizations and the problem was solved. But it's still a challenge for us way back then nung wala pa pong legitimacy yung initiative natin. And of course, I think all of the youth leaders here can relate na challenge talaga yung transportation, yung pagpunta mo sa communities, especially Halad Paglaang, kaya super proud ako sa kanila. They were able to mobilize it kahit nandito sila sa Manila and nalayo yung community nila. Same with Sinag. So, parang kailangan mo talaga maging madiskarte and pigain lahat ng network mo kasi baka meron naman pala silang vehicle or meron silang pass and everything. So, you just really have to check your network and yeah, andun na lahat, halos po lahat ng kailangan nyo for the relief. Thank you.
RJ?
Yes, sir. Actually, tama si Patrick. Challenge kasi sa amin is that we decided to focus on those in the periphery. So, they're in the countryside. Wala ka namang, well, there are community of fisher folks in Baseco, for example, but they're also receiving enough donations and relief from the Manila government, diba? So we decided to focus on the periphery. So, like what Patrick said, importante talaga that you have networks, you have connection in this in pulling off this kind of relief efforts. Kasi yung sa amin, lahat kami remotely ang paggalaw. So, say for example, yung unang community namin na tinap, yung Barangay Batong in Tuaw, Cagayan, these are community of farmers. And most of the farmers in this area were farmers without their own lands to farm. So dahil pandemic, wala din masyadong nagpapasaka sa kanila and restricted yung pagpasok doon sa area. So one of our colleagues in FEUs, also part of Halad Paglaom, said that yung parents niya nandun sa area and they can actually do an ocular to see what kind of situations they have in that particular area. So andyan yung issue ng entry, andyan yung issue ng mga police na nagbabantay sa entry, andyan yung issue ng barangay officials na gustong makialam sa distribution, which is okay. We welcome them because that's part of their jurisdiction. All of those things we experienced that. Kasi iba-iba yung level ng quarantine sa mga area na pinupuntahan namin. Although, generally, naka-lockdown pa rin sila. So, ang challenge doon, to find a network or a connection from that particular area na, number one, you could really trust. Kasi we're talking about sending them the amount that we gathered from the donations, and then the procurement would, of course, will be on their part. Kasi we cannot travel the goods from Metro Manila to that area. So we really had to find for some trusted person to make it work. And then luckily lahat naman ng lugar na napuntahan namin na pagbigyan namin ng tulong, meron kaming nakuhang mga trusted point person. So kasi we did not only distribute goods like the normal goods na binibigay, kasi upon surveying, inuutusan namin yung mga point person namin doon to ask them what do they really need? Kung kailangan ba talaga, mas kailangan ba nila yung hygiene kit kaysa sa bigas para mabalance natin kung ano ibibigay natin sa kanila. And most of them would say puro daw ang binibigay daw sa kanila puro mga instant noodles, delata. So that's when we decided to actually give livestock. So aside from the bigas na binibigay namin, at konting dilata kasi dilata can sustain you kahit paano kasi hindi siya napapanis. So we're able to find local suppliers for livestock, for example, yung chicken or yung 45 days chicken and then tilapia or whatever isda na pwede naming maangkat doon at a relatively cheaper price. So inisip namin na while we were able to actually connect with the community and provide them with relief na pantawid sa ilang araw, at least natutulungan din natin kahit paano yung mga local distributors, yung mga local suppliers ng mga nakaapektado rin nung lockdown, for example. So yun yung mga bagay na dapat isaalang-alang, especially remotely namin itong ginagawa. Like wala kaming headquarters dito sa Manila. We only meet virtually. Our headquarters are nandun sa Tuwao, nandun sa Biliran, nandun sa Katarman. So yun yung mga challenges. But of course, there are some things that we have learned from all of those experiences. What is more important is that we're able to pull it off, although alam namin na kulang yon kasi like sabi ni Patrick, pantawid lang, and kahit pa paano nakapagbigay naman tayo sa kanila.
Good. What are the common stories that you actually encountered from your beneficiaries? So maybe I can start with Mika.
Sir, as for us po, actually, I think everyone here can relate po na there was one time in your Facebook messages, may ma-receive tayong na heartfelt na sobrang heartbreaking na mga messages na wala po kaming makain, yung mga ganon, yung you want to help everyone as much as possible. Like, gustong-gusto mong tumulong. It's just that you're also limited eh. Hindi rin, kumbaga, you can't help everyone. You're not Superwoman, you're not Batman. Na parang, if someone's asked for your help, andyan ka kagad. Hindi kasi, that's not how it works here. So, siguro sir, as for us po, siguro yung, as for me po, I have tita who's a nurse po. So, yung story niya, yung pag-post niya na hindi sila makalabas, na they have duty for hours already, they haven't sleep, or they haven't go home kasi nga, given na pag umuwi sila, baka mapahamak yung family nila. And hindi din sila ganun makalabas kasi nga po, given na limited din yung tao for the hospital, hindi rin siya, kumbaga, hindi siya practical to think or hindi siya practical to do kasi alam mo, you have to weigh the consequences if lalabas ka. Or, as for us po, yun po yung naging namin na given yung advocacy namin for women as well as yung mga heartfelt stories na na-receive namin or nabasa namin through online. And, ang dami din pong nag-suggest. Thanks for the suggestions na, kasi we're actually thinking talaga if ano talaga yung beneficiary na talagang gusto namin tulungan and talagang affected po. Yun po yung sa amin.
Patrick?
Alright po, ayan. For the past, I think 20 or 22 relief operations, we've heard a lot of stories from people from different walks of life and those especially na nasa below the poverty line. And it's really heartbreaking like what Mika said po na nakakarinig tayo ng mga ganong kwento. But I think this pandemic is our closest encounter to the VUCA world, as they say, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And we really have to be agile and adaptive sa pag-deal sa ganitong crisis. But I think one of the most remarkable story, I'll be sharing two. One is yung heartbreaking and then number one is yung medyo inspiring. Yung heartbreaking is yung recent relief operations namin sa Barangay Addition Hills in Mandaluyong. So to give you a context, Addition Hills is the barangay in Mandaluyong na merong highest case of COVID-19. And imagine them kung how you envision Baseco, talagang slums siya, barong-barong, siksikan sa isang pamilya and all. And sa kalagitnaan ng pandemic, sila yung number 1 na barangay, nagkaroon pa ng sunog sa kanila. So parang may burden ka na, nagkaroon ka pa ng isang burden. So parang double whammy yung na-encounter nila. And then, nung nakapunta kami doon sa relief operations, at first medyo hesitant pa nga kami dahil nga sobrang taas ng cases doon. But thanks to Ma'am Babe Suva and sa Office of the Vice Mayor in Mandaluyong, we were properly assisted. And then we were provided with PPEs pagpunta doon. So makikita mo kung gaano ka-privileged tayo ngayon na nakaupo lang tayo dito, nag-uusap, nag-share ng stories, nasa mga comforts tayo ng homes natin. Kukumpara mo sila doon sa siksikan na basketball gyms, sa mga tent na nililipad. Nililipad siya. Kapag hindi mo siya nilagyan ng kahoy, lilipa rin siya. Pag umulan, papasukin siya ng tubig. So imagine the burden na na-experience nila firsthand, where in fact, ang pinagkaiba lang naman natin sa kanila is sinuwerte tayo sa buhay. And we have all the opportunities to succeed. And then, it's very heartbreaking, but we are really grateful to the people who supported the initiative and enabled us to provide them with hygiene kit, specifically Unilever Philippines po and food packs. Thank you so much po. And sa other story naman, I think Sir Selmer, you're familiar with this. I was able to had a chit chat with the chairwoman of Baseco. So, isa siya sa mga
She's an alumna.
inspiration. Yes.
She's an alumna.
She's an alumna of FEU, IABF. So, nag-uusap kami habang nag-relief ops na nakwento niya na isa siya sa mga barangay captain na nagbalik ng I think more than 20 million or 2 million worth ng excess what do you call this, sir? Yung ayuda nila.
Local amelioration fund.
Yeah,
that's a local
yung SAP
version
nila.
Yeah.
Yes. So imagine, I think it's more than 20 million. Kung ako yung barangay captain na yon, parang kahit paano magkakaroon ako ng impression na what if bigyan ko muna ng funds yung barangay namin para kahit paano in the future crisis, meron kaming funds and all. Pero siya, sabi niya kasi, ang nag-strike sa akin na statement niya, hindi ko naman pera yan bakit kayo bubulasat? Ba't kayo bibigay sa barangay? Meron naman kaming pondo. So, nakakatuwang isipin na sa panahon ng krisis na ang dilim-dilim na nang nangyayari, pag nagbasa ka ng balita, makikita mo yung mga nakapag-swimming pa with the dolphins, tapos yung other funny and very unbecoming government officials na ginagawa ang mga bagay-bagay na misplace ang priorities nila. Then there's this barangay captain na nagbalik ng 20 million sa parang wow. So parang grabe, you are such an inspiration not only to the youth but also to the public officials and us future leaders of this generation. So I think this experience gave me a lot of, it's like a roller coaster ride of emotions upon hearing different stories. But we're looking forward to more inspiring stories, of course, especially doon sa barangay captain na alumna ng FEU. Thank you.
Okay. So, this is interesting. This was asked by one of the students. How do you think youth volunteerism can be achieved at the local level? Because as mentioned by RJ, a lot of initiatives are actually being done here in Metro Manila. A lot of resources are concentrated in Metro Manila. But how do we bring it to the local level and probably to the remote areas of the country?
Yes, sir. I think it's regardless of the location, kung nasaan ka, whether you're in a remote community, whether you are in a metropolis setup or whatever location that you have. I think what's more important is that you have, number one, basically you have compassion and empathy. Kasi kung wala ka nun, I don't think you would ever initiate such initiative siguro. I think we can bring these kinds of things in the local context by actually inspiring youth there to start initiating some initiatives that they can actually do. It does not necessarily have to be monetary value. Right? Kasi pwede naman kasi siyang mobilizing a community. For example, you want to mobilize the youth, the parents in your community to educate them about the value of, for example, breastfeeding mom. Okay, cliche example. To initiate them the value of the breastfeeding, for example, or kung ano ba yung benefits ng breastfeeding sa children. Yung volunteerism kasi nakikita ko siya, hindi lang siya about mobilizing a donation drive or mobilizing something for a community. It's actually mobilizing some social change and social good in a community. Kaya pwede silang mag-initiate sa mga localities, yung mga youth, for example, ng mga interest na gusto nila. Na, for example, if they want to fight against a certain problem that they are encountering, they can actually initiate some initiatives and ask help from LGUs and other private institutions. Kagaya nga ng sabi ni Patrick kanina, itong pandemic actually marami siyang nire-reveal sa atin, 'di ba? At hindi lang naman puro masama ang nire-reveal niya sa atin. Nire-reveal din niya sa atin na ang Pilipino ay kahit nandito tayo sa ganitong sitwasyon, kaya pa rin nating tumulong. So kung kahit saan ka, kahit nasa liblib ka ng community, meron pa ring mga organizations, mga tao, mga initiatives na maaring tumulong sa inyo. So it has to start with them. Ganun, sir.
Okay. Related to that, I would ask this to Patrick. How would you convince today's generation or the youth to start volunteering? This was asked by one of the participants.
Okay, so start volunteering, how to convince them. I think personally hindi natin sila kasi kailangan i-convince if they really want to volunteer. It comes from within. Like for example, in our case, we were not convinced naman, uy, gawin mo yung Pantawid COVID project kasi ano naman yan. Kailangan yan ngayon. Tsaka relevant yan. At tsaka cool, di ba? Cool ngayon kapag meron kang initiative na sarili mo and all. Parang may mga ganong perception eh. But no, kailangan, it should come from within. I'd like to quote and quote RJ, kailangan meron kang compassion and empathy. Kasi doon nagsisimula lahat eh. When you have empathy, ang dali ng kumonek sa mga paghihirap ng mga kapwa mo Pilipino na not necessarily na experience mo or not necessarily na experience mo. So, siguro, not to convince you but to encourage you to join student organizations. Ayan, I believe all of the co-panelists here agree that it all started in college when we signed up for a student organization during Tamaraw Hunt or Tam Hunt. From your organization, you can find your why, explore different advocacy, take part in different civic engagement activities. You can be trained, you can be mentored, and you can build a lot of network na meron ding same goal as you. And believe me, it's not just volunteering. I think tip of the iceberg lang yan. There's more to it. And that's actually what I wanted the students of now, or yung mga estudyante ngayon na ma-explore nila. And I am really excited that in the future, our audience now would be, yung mga student leaders sa audience natin would be the speaker. And then kami naman yung makikinig sa mga stories nila. Like katulad nung nagsisimula pa lang kami. Thank you.
Right. I'll ride on the statement of Patrick when it comes to student organizations and activities within the university. It's actually my personal belief that a lot of the things that I've learned from the student organizations, I was able to apply in my professional career. I just want to ask if it is also the case with the four of you. So how is your experience from the student organizations and volunteerism within the university or outside the university helps you in your professional career? Yeah, RJ.
Ako, sir, I would say it really helped me a lot. Like, walang exaggeration. Kasi I started out at executive committee ng FUCSO and then eventually ng mass communication hanggang sa nagkaroon ng posisyon. I think the training of student leadership in FEU is really close to a real life experience. Yun siguro yung dahilan siguro kung bakit marami din tayong mga student leaders sa FEU ang maganda yung sitwasyon nila ngayon. They were able to get a job that are actually high paying and they actually enjoy doing what they do. Kasi, ewan ko, sir, parang, I don't know kung ako lang to, I don't know if I'm sensationalizing student leadership in FEU because of course I have my biases kasi I'm an alumnus. But I think big portion of my experience in student leadership, particularly in mass communication, where we do, alam mo yan, sir, you're also an alumnus of COM. Like we do a lot of productions, we do a lot of communicating with people, we do a lot of linking, networking, linkages, etc., etc. And it helped me with my previous job experiences. And even until now that I am with the academe, it helped me a lot. So yun. Ewan ko kung ako lang yun. Baka bias lang ako.
We can hear it from Mika. Yes, Mika.
Sir, for me, grabe yung of course, hindi ko rin exaggerate, pero grabe din po talaga yung help sa akin ng organization. Actually, before, nung high school ako, I was just focused on my academics or in my sports. So, when I entered college, it was really, totoo nga po talaga yung iba na parang culture shock ka. Kasi when I entered college hala, ganito pala dito. Like, may mga organizations na super active and siguro, sir, given yung organization ko is outside of my academics, like I'm business management graduate, then I'm on a uni-wide organization. So, sobrang broad nung nakuha kong knowledge, not just about business but about yung stories, yung empathy na na-establish ng Young Women's Christian Association po. Grabe yung binigay niyang lesson sa akin. And before, hindi rin po ako yung tipo ng tao na magvo-volunteer anywhere. Ngayon po, parang yung former organization ko na parang if we were given opportunity, grab it. Like, as much as you can help, do it. Parang don't limit yourself na ay may pasok ako or hindi, ACADS tayo kasi this is what, hindi ka na makakagraduate ng organization lang yung tinitake mo eh. So, alam ko yun, you balance. Parang organization will teach you. Kasi po, if yung attendees, hindi sila student leader, student development po has program for student leaders, not just about, sige, create kayo ng event, go ahead for, but as much as early as possible po, tinuturoan na kami how to build policy, how to create a successful event, how to communicate with your co-student, yung talagang training ground ng student development was very effective. Until now, I can still apply it at my work po. As well as yung pagiging law student ko po is hindi siya, yun po yung actually nagbigay ng idea sa akin why I want to be a lawyer is yung talagang yung binigay po na lesson ng student development ng Young Women's Christian Association po sa akin.
Jeddah?
Hello?
Hi,
Ayan, sobrang laking tulong po yung Tamara volunteer sa character development ko as a person. So kaya nga mula nung college hanggang ngayon, nag-work na ako for 7 years, 8 years, doon pa rin yung heart ko for volunteerism and for organizing different projects sa iba't ibang mga communities, hindi lang sa Tondo, kundi pati sa mga IPs, ganyan. And dahil dun sa mga na-experience ko sa organizations, nagkaroon ako ng heart dun sa mga tao na to and narinig ko yung mga experiences nila. So dahil doon, na-motivate ako na hindi ko lang to gagawin habang estudyante ako, kundi gagawin ko siya kahit na nagtatrabaho na ako. And in fact, ngayon, kahit na teacher ako sa FEU, nagtuturo pa din ako, before the lockdown, nagtuturo pa din ako every Sunday dun sa mga bata na to. Kasi I know kung gaano kahirap yung struggle ng walang taong pwedeng tumulong sa'yo, ganyan. So, ninawala ako na through organizations, sana na yung Tamara Volunteers, nakatulong sa akin na mag-develop ng mga character na nakakatulong sa akin ngayon sa pag-work ko. Yun po.
Patrick?
Sir, I can say that student organizations are microcosm of actual career life, of your actual life in kabuuan. So parang yun na yung training grounds mo, yun na yung model mo na para paglabas mo ng school, same. Yung setup, yung challenges, and then yung opportunities na may encounter mo. So personally, I can say that I am the person, or I am the volunteer or the leader or whatever you want to call me, I am today. It's because of my student organizations in college. And also, it's because of my mentors. It's because of the people who believed in me. So starting sa FEU, I met Kuya RJ, I met Mika, I met different professors who are really willing to train student leaders, not just to create events, para hindi lang kami maging events managers, but of course, to look at the bigger picture, kung ano ba talaga yung mga problema na kinakaharap ng lipunan natin at ng gobyerno natin, na kung saan tayo pwedeng pumasok at pwede tayo makatulong. So, relevant siya really in real life because sa student organizations, you get to develop not only your hard skills but also your essential skills such as communication, partnership, collaboration, and I believe these are really essential skills in the 21st century na kung sa student org mo pa lang, na-practice mo na and nagawa mo na, I'm pretty sure na paglabas mo sa 4 or 5 gate ng FEU, napakadali na lang ng buhay para sa iyo. And I want to answer the question here, yung how will volunteering help you land a job? Actually,
Yeah.
speaking from an HR perspective, pag alam ko na volunteer ka, it speaks of your values, it speaks of your ethics, it speaks of you as a person. So, I'm pretty sure na maayos ka sa work. And somehow, maganda yung character mo. Thank you.
Okay. Talking about the bigger picture, Patrick mentioned it, no? And also based on your experience from the grassroots while doing all this volunteer work, how do you think the community can work together to fight COVID-19? Who would like to start?
Ako sir, I think importante yung nandito tayo sa puntong importante yung people participation. It is not always to say na dapat top-down yung approach sa ganitong pagkakataon kasi the community is the number one affected in this situation eh. So dapat yung people participation, ask the people what they think of all the things that the government is doing to address this pandemic, in which part of those things should be improved. Yun sir, people participation talaga. I think mas especially not just in this pandemic in the way a government should lead, there should always be people participation, a bottom-up approach of seeing the problem because the community itself know kung ano yung kailangan nila. The community itself know kung ano yung sitwasyon nila. So sila dapat ang isa sa mga magsasabi kung paano sila makakapag-participate, for example, for policy making. And in the case of COVID-19, siguro mahalagang tanungin sila or alamin yung pulso nila kung paano dapat ma-improve itong mga approaches na ginagawa ng gobyerno, which is I feel like medyo may ibang hindi talaga klaro. So, ayun.
Patrick?
Sa panahon po ngayon ng krisis na kinakaharap natin, napakahalaga po ng multi-stakeholders, collaboration and engagement. I'm pretty sure ang naghihinder po sa ganitong klaseng engagement or approach ay of course yung mga pride ng mga nakaupo sa taas, especially their personal interests. So, politics. But imagine if the people, I like to quote RJ, bottom-up approach, imagine the people, the government, the LGU, the church, and the other sectors will work together na wala munang iniisip na pang personal nila na interest. Napakaganda po at napakabilis po ng nating mareresolba kung ano man po yung kinakaharap natin ngayon. Kasi taking inspiration from VP Lenny yesterday, so hindi naman po matigas ang ulo ng mga Pilipino.
Correct.
Tama po man po, di ba? At hindi po tayo talunan. Okay? Matatalino po tayo kasi ang dami na nating pagsubok na kinaharap before. Pero kung titignan po kasi natin yung pattern kung bakit may mga ganitong klaseng krisis na hindi na-solve is medyo hirap sumunod yung mga tao kasi hindi nila alam kung paano sila susunod o malabo yung direksyon na sinusundan nila. Ayun po, I think the key here is multi-stakeholder engagement and of course people participation nang wala po munang personal agenda. It's very challenging lalo na malapit na po ang presidential elections is 2022 kaya hindi po natin maiiwasan na may mga ganong klaseng opisyales na inuuna muna yung sariling pang-interest nila over the interest of the public. Pero kaya natin siyang simulan from our community, sa mga schools natin, sa mga barangay natin, even in our own families. So, ayun, grabe, hindi ko ma-imagine kung anong klaseng Pilipinas ang meron tayo ngayon kung maayos ang mga namumuno at may direction tayo. At imbis na nagsisisihan, at imbis na inuuna ang mga hindi naman kinakailangan ng mga issue, katulad pagpapasara ng isang TV network, pagpapabilis sa isang mga bill, ganyan-ganyan. So yung mga misplaced priorities ba? I'm pretty sure makakasabay po tayo sa Singapore at sa Taiwan sa pagresolva ng COVID-19. Tsaka sana, nasa panahon tayo ng krisis na ang daming namamatay, wag na po nating dagdagan yung gusto nating mga kitiling buhay sa pagpapasa ng mga hindi agaran or kinakailangan mga batas. So yun lang po. Bumoto po tayo ng maayos sa halalan 2022. Maraming salamat po.
Yes, Mika.
For me, sir, like what you've all said, start from something small. Start from yourself. Sabi nga, I can remember from someone na if the collective efforts of these people talaga lalaki siya eh. Hindi lang like hindi kasi magbabago yung isang community if hindi siya nagsa-start sa sarili mo. For example, consumption of plastic. If one can do it, why can't others, di ba po? So yun, siguro let's start from ourselves. Then voice out your concerns. Let's not be silent kasi as for my own experience, sir, parang yung silence kasi natin, ibig sabihin we're tolerating it eh. We're tolerating the government's actions. Na okay lang sa atin na ganun sila umaction kasi hindi tayo nagrereklamo. So let's voice our concerns to the something small, to our community leaders, barangays, na if you have any idea what to do, if you're smart enough na, or you have something, or you're in this kind of profession who could help your community, please do so. Kasi maybe they're like what you've all said po na they are blinded with their own interest. Maybe they know what to do but they prefer not to kasi nga po mas unay pa nila yung sarili nila kaysa yung buhay ng ibang tao din na at stake during this pandemic. And gradually from barangays to the municipal to the president itself, na sana marinig po nila yung concern natin as a Filipino, as an individual na maraming nang namamatay. And ayun po, let's not be silent. Ang daming nananahimik just because of this anti-terror law. But let's challenge the government as well na hindi tayo papatalo, hindi tayo yung tipo ng Pilipino na hahayaan lang yung mga nangyayari sa atin. Yan lang po.
Okay. Jeda?
Ng mga sinabi nila. Ang ganda ng mga sinabi nila, pero yun nga, niniwala ko na magsimula ka muna sa sarili mo. And love your family. Para sa akin, ang first ministry natin is your family. So help your family, love your family. Pag naramdaman nila yun, mag-ripple effect yun eh. And sharing your advocacy as well sa social media. So hindi mo kailangan lumabas para makatulong ka sa ibang tao. So niniwala ko, pag nagtulong-tulungan tayo at hindi nga tayo mag-away-away dahil lang sa pagkakaiba natin ng paniniwala, ganyan, political man yan, sa religious man yan, kung magtutulungan tayo, naniniwala ko makakaahon tayo dito sa pandemic na to.
Thank you, Jeda. Another question from our participant. How can a youth volunteer manage his or her time wisely? Mika mentioned about time management, being a law student, and you were able to still do this volunteer work. It's really tough. But what advice can you give, especially to our students or to our professionals who have a full-time job, so that they can still do volunteerism on the side or part of their activities?
Yes, sir. I'm telling you, it's not easy po. As in, at first po, during the first week planning, it was really hard po. Kasi you were communicating remotely eh. So parang there could be chance ng miscommunication or um misinformation. Tapos po given na mahirap makipag-communicate with the LGUs and they have different policies, parang talagang mako-consume yung time mo dun pa lang po eh. So, brace yourselves with those na LGUs na don't have the concrete plans. Pero yun po, maybe communicate your schedules with your team. Communicate it with your, I communicated with my managers, with my co-students as well na when we were starting, I'm working, I'm also have this organization I work with. It's just a communication through these people kasi they would understand you. My team was able to handle this outreach program because we have this kind of schedule na let's talk after work, let's talk after 6 p.m., let's talk after 8 p.m. And we manage our schedule kasi we can't get in a rates of professional level eh. Yun po.
Patrick?
First, practical advice. When you want to do a volunteer work or you are already doing a volunteer work in a specific organization and you are studying or you are working, it's very important na you make use of the available resources or applications specifically for project management. So feel ko ang bumuhay po sa Pantawid COVID project ay Google Docs, Google Sheets, Asana, and different, yung mga free na pwede natin gamitin para makapag-work tayo remotely. Like what Mika said, it's very challenging to work remotely kasi prone yan sa miscommunication tsaka nakakawala ng drive. Meron tayong mga nag-surface na term ngayon, yung Zoom burnout na para bang, meeting na naman and all. So parang disconnected na tayo talaga sa kung ano yung gusto natin gawin. Pero when you sabi nga nila ba, don't work hard, work smart. When you make use of these applications and you make things easier while leveraging technology, kayang-kaya mo naman siyang pagsabayan regardless if you're studying or you're working. And of course, I think more than that, kailangan committed ka sa ginagawa mo and clear sa'yo ano ba talaga yung gusto mo as well as with your vision kasi it's what will drive you whenever you feel exhausted na and burn out with everything that you are doing. Thank you.
Of course, all of us, we have a very limited time in our hands. And of course, when we want to do something, most of the time we have to trade off something. In your case, what was the trade-offs? You're doing volunteerism. What did you give up, RJ?
What did I give up in return? I think I did not really give it up. Like kasi yung nangyari kasi tong Halad Paglaong project, it was April. I was on the finals month in UP Open University. So since ang UP Open University ang kaisa-isang UP system na hindi nagsumunod sa pag-cut ng klase ng April 30, sabihin tuloy pa rin yung klase namin. So I had to give up some nights for reading materials to actually plan for, say for example, plan for publicity materials because of course, when you are doing an online donation drive, kailangan mo talaga ng maayos na publicity material, right? To encourage people to donate. And other than that, marami ding mga araw na nagpaplano kami kung paano yung distribution, kung sino yung tatawagan, kung anong lugar ang pupuntahan. So I had to give up some of the reading materials or some of the study schedule that I had for April. Pero okay lang kasi eventually nag-announce naman ng UP na okay, you can fulfill your requirement until next year on May 31, 2021. So parang okay, sige, worth it lahat kahit alam kong sinakripisyo ko siya kahit pa paano. So, yun.
In your case, Patrick?
Ako, it's very personal. I think ang isa sa mga not really sinakripisyo but somehow consideration ko with everything is of course yung safety, especially sa pagbababa, pagpunta natin sa field. And sobrang nakakalungkot lang kasi when I started doing Pantawid COVID, hindi na ako sumasabay sa lunch, sa dinner, and then I barely talk to my relatives kasi most of them mga senior citizens. And then nakakalungkot lang na every Saturday, I'm not allowed to go out of my room. Lalo na kapag galing ako sa mga barangay na medyo high risk talaga. So naka-self-isolate lang ako. And it's okay lang din naman kasi I don't want na bandang dulo magsisi ako na na-infect yung relatives ko because of me. So extra careful na lang talaga. But ayun lang siguro, medyo nakakalungkot na nasa ganito situation tayo na tumutulong ka na nga pero may kapalit siya, which is yung pag-spend mo ng time with your family, especially lola's boy ako, palaki ako ng lola ko, and minsan yung food ko iniiwan na lang sa labas ng room until 4 or 5 days na wala akong symptoms. Pero grateful din naman kami na kahit nangyayari yun sa family namin or na-experience ko siya, mas priceless naman yung feeling na you were able to help to different communities na mas, I think, mas valid yung nararamdaman nilang lungkot kaysa sa iyo. Dahil sila nagugutom, walang makain and all. And I'm really glad lang din naman that the family is really supportive with everything that I am doing. So extra careful lang talaga, but nakakalungkot talaga mag-isolate kapag galing ka sa relief ops. Thank you.
Mika?
Sir, I'd like to highlight yung safety talaga. Actually, you can, the sleepless nights, okay lang yan, ay mababawi yan. Pero yung safety po talaga ng team mo, especially, tinarget namin as hospital. So very risky siya.
Yeah.
Kahit na po, doon lang kami sa part na receiving area. It's very risky for us. And, sir, it's not just about yung pinaka-goal mo, but yung actually yung fruitfulness, yung satisfaction din kasi na makukuha mo after, yung contentment na yung feeling na you were able to help someone, na yung ganong feeling na you can trade it to anything po actually. Parang parang feeling na gusto mong hanapin always, na parang you'll not be contented, you'll not be enough, na parang hindi ako makakatulog sa isang bagay hangga't hindi ko nagagawa. Which is yun po, yung feeling na makapag-help ka sa ibang tao po.
Thank you. I think we have covered a lot. Any final word for your fellow Gen Z and millennials?
So, who would like to start? Yes, Jeddah.
Ako po, siguro know your whys. Always know kung bakit mo ba siya ginagawa. Kasi minsan, yun nga, kapag pinopost mo na sa social media, ganyan, medyo, alam mo yun, na napupuno ka na ng ang daming pumupuri sa'yo, ganyan. And minsan ginagawa mo na siya out of your selfish ambition, or dahil nga, mukhang sikat, ganyan, mukhang helpful. Pero, balik ka dun sa core mo. Bakit ko ba to ginagawa? Ano ba yung mission ko? Ano ba yung purpose ko? Ano ba yung passion ko? And, kapag nandun ka lagi, pinanghawakan mo yung reason mo kung bakit mo ba ito ginagawa. Siguro yun yung magiging light mo para hindi ka maligaw, and para alam mo kung sino ba yung gusto mong tulungan, bakit mo ba sila tinutulungan. And you can start small. And hindi mo kailangan gumawa ng malaking organization, hindi mo kailangan gumawa ng NGO para makatulong. Pwede kang mag-join ng iba't ibang organization established na. Pwede kang, yun nga, mag-raise ng funds, pwede kang maging advocate. And
RJ?
Ako naman, sir, siguro like what Jeddah said, I'd like to echo what Jeddah said, na you have to really know kung bakit mo ba yun ginagawa. Why are you volunteering for? It's not to say na nagvo-volunteer ka dahil gusto mo lang maging kasama sa organization. Nagvo-volunteer ka para masabi lang na meron kang ginagawa. It is always about knowing the reason why you are volunteering. And one of those reasons should be compassion and empathy. Yun yung lagi kong sinasabi, sir. Kasi sabi nga ni Patrick kanina, if you are empathetic about the people, mabilis nang mag-connect, alam mo na kung kahit hindi mo yun naramdaman, hindi mo naranasan yung hirap na nararanasan nila, pero alam mo yung pakiramdam kasi you are being empathetic. You can start in your community. You can start actually in your place, in your community. Little steps na hindi naman kailangang malaki agad, or hindi naman kailangang lumaki yung mga maliliit na steps na yon. Right? Kasi kahit man sa community, sa mga maliliit na bagay, meron naman tayong magagawa eh. Right? And siguro swerte lang tayo ngayon because we are given technology has provided us platform to actually magnify our willingness to volunteer, our willingness to help people, kasi nga na magnify ni social media yung mga bagay na gusto nating gawin. So we have to take advantage of that. Kaso lang mag-iingat din tayo kasi like what Jede said, sometimes baka sa sobrang, say for example, sobrang nagagratify ka sa daming followers, sa daming likes na mga ginagawa mo, baka ginagawa mo na lang siya dahil sa uses and gratification nung technology at nung ginagawa mo. Dahil maraming like, so ginagawa mo na siya. Wala na yung core mo, wala na yung empathy, wala na yung compassion. So yun lang.
Mika?
Start from small. You can give food to your kapitbahay. Alam mo, ang dami, you can look around you, ang dami mong matutulungan. Hindi, you don't focus yourself on the term volunteerism because it's a big word. Like, parang sa sinasabi na sa topic na volunteerism, parang it requires you to commit yourself fully to something. Volunteerism can be an kind act of giving your spare food for street people, or hindi kasi siya, it doesn't have to be so big para masabi mong minagawa ako. You don't have to profess it to the world na nagawa ko itong ganitong bagay. Huwag tayo magbulag-bulagan sa mga bagay. Marami nagugutom, marami namamatay, marami nahihirapan. So, don't focus on ourselves, look at the others. Simpleng pagtulong lang, malaking bagay na yun sa kanila. Hindi man nila sabihin, hindi mo man makita na yun pala yung result ng ginawa ko, pero sa loob-loob mo o sa ibang tao, nakita nila na yung kahit simpleng cupcake, spare food na binigay mo sa neighbor mo, yun pala yung tutustos sa kanila sa isang araw. Yun na yung big help na nagawa mo, kahit hindi mo man makita yun. Yan lang po.
Patrick?
Personally, if you want to volunteer, first you have to acknowledge na you cannot do it alone, 'di ba? Parang I second them. I agree with all the suggestions and the pieces of advice of the previous speakers. Pero for me kasi since day one, yun yung pinanghawakan ko when I am starting this initiative. Parang I cannot do this alone. Therefore, I need the help of my friends. So, through that acknowledgement na hindi mo siya kayang gawin mag-isa, parang you are opening yourself to different possibilities, different opportunities, and different assistance from different people, such as your friends, your colleagues, your professors, or yung mga na-meet mo online and everything. And from there, you can start working on things and maybe meron kang mga resources na kailangan mo na wala sa'yo, pero meron sila. So dun pumapasok yung collaboration. So if you want to commit yourself or gusto mo maging committed as a volunteer, sobrang essential skills ng collaboration na kailangan wala kang sense of competition na ay ayoko siyang i-involve dito kasi ganyan siya. When in fact ayaw mo lang talaga siya makasama kasi ayaw mo siya mag-take ng credit for the initiative. So very important talaga yung collaboration when you are starting to be a volunteer. And I think second, don't be pressured just because you're seeing people online doing volunteer works or initiative, parang kailangan mo na siyang gawin na, hala, ginagawa nila to, ako hindi. So, different kasi tayo ng interests, different tayo ng timeline, and then different tayo ng mga contributions na pwede nating mabigay sa community. Maybe that person initiated something, it doesn't mean na kailangan mo rin siyang i-initiate. Maybe hindi ikaw yung mag-initiate, but you can be part of something bigger than yourself by joining other activities or initiatives. So, it doesn't necessarily need na ikaw kailangan yung magsimula. You can sign up, especially kapag bago ka pa lang sa ganitong klase mga bagay. You can sign up first sa isang organization and see how things work. And, ayun, third, I mentioned this already earlier na this problem is really not just a mere problem or pattern of events. This is a systematic problem that needs a systematic solution. And as volunteers, I hope when you do your own volunteer work, you just don't see the tip of the iceberg. dig deeper kung bakit ba nangyayari tong ganitong social divide, bakit ganitong mga patterns, or bakit ba may mga ganitong events. Kasi interconnected siya eh. You cannot solve a specific problem if you are just looking at the tip of the iceberg or yung mga symptoms niya. You really need to dig deeper and look for what really is the problem instead of just putting a band-aid solution to it. So yun lang naman po.
Okay, so thank you again, Patrick, RJ, Mika, and Jeddah. Thank you again for your time and for sharing valuable inputs to our participants. No, turn you over now to Eric for some announcement. Eric.
Okay. Yes, thank you so much to our moderator, Director Selmer, to our brave altruists and panelists, Sir RJ, Patrick, Micaela, and Miss Jeddah, for inspiring us your stories of volunteerism. Surely you have opened the eyes of our audience that even in the littlest ways, let's start small so we could extend help to others who are dire in need, especially now that we have a lot of kababayans who are in dire need of assistance. And good thing that we have our alumni here to help. So truly, all of you are great models of the youth today. Again, thank you so much. Also, we are inviting everyone to join us in the next installment of our webinar series entitled Navigating Career in the Hospitality and Tourism Industries in the Post-Pandemic Period. Yes, another interesting topic to have in our webinar series. So for the details of the webinar session and how you could register, please see the poster posted in your screens. There you go. So our speaker is an alumnus also, Mr. Sunny Miguel Tan. So he is a well-known creative chef and a culinary alumnus and of course a global strategic marketing consultant. Okay, so and lastly, please like, follow, connect, and subscribe to our official social media sites in Facebook and LinkedIn and in YouTube. So you just have to search FEU Alumni Relations Office to get updates and news in the alumni community and to our next webinar sessions.